And this is Brad Matheny. Today's the 30th of April, Wednesday. And oh boy, what a wild move in the markets. We have big earnings coming out at the end of the day. This is a very solid move. Let me redraw this. Make sure I get the right thing. The cradle pattern. This is the SPY chart hourly. I kind of stick to this hourly chart. This cradle pattern moving up into this pattern here is very unique. It's setting up very nicely for either a breakaway above this channel or at this point, some sort of a breakdown below this channel. I do believe that we are setting up into that downward move that I've told you about into May. I'm looking at this with the GDP numbers and the economic news moving into Q2 with quite a bit of downside risk. I think that we're looking at a pretty solid consolidation, topping, breakdown kind of a pattern setting up here. Really going to be quite interesting to see how this plays out. Now, we can always go back and talk about how, we get into this flagging formation here off of this low, um, potentially breaking downward through a carryover trend. I'll try to draw that for you. I mean, these patterns, they start to stack up, right? So we've got this pullback mode into this deep flagging formation. And really, when we get into this type of a breakdown, we could see a breakdown as we play into this flagging back downward. If my breakdown pattern happens, if we break down below this low here, this would end up being a invalidation of the excess phase peak pattern to the downside. We'll see how this plays out. We've got a very solid pullback. And again, I kind of talked about this, how we moved into this move. If we look at this other pattern here, down into a low, we had our pullback, we had our flagging, we rallied up into consolidation, and now we potentially rallied up into an excess phase peak. Very cluttered pattern, is not as clear as these previous patterns like we saw up here. You can see that we had rallied up into a high, we pulled back, we flagged across here, we broke down into and below this low where I thought consolidation would be setting up. And then we extended the consolidation range, breaking down, I expected, into this big consolidation zone. This could also have been an ultimate low. We're waiting for confirmation on that. Because if this is consolidation and this is the ultimate low, it qualifies. Let me change the color of this. Purple. Go away. Purple. Purple. So where we're at again is I'm looking at this, and this can be purple. I'm looking at this as really that draw this in a different color. Come here. There we go. Draw it as a light blue. I'm looking at this as the cradle pattern playing out into this resistance channel, likely leading to that breakdown. Okay, likely leading to this breakdown in trend, pulling back down through this potential excess phase peak pattern here. Right now, we're setting up. You can kind of see it. It's interesting how these play out because you can pick these apart, day in and day out. Kind of pulling up, moving into a flagging formation. Try to pick a bright color. Something that we haven't used before. Maybe I can try yellow. Yeah, yellow will stand out okay. And so if we have this flagging and we've rolled out of it, we have yet to get below the flag low, which is right here again, consolidation low. This plays all into Fibonacci price theory. This plays into price pattern formations. I highlighted it, and I'll find the image, but I highlighted it a while back in that gambling is not trading video. So you can come in here and gambling is not trading. Hopefully this will work. Okay, pause and drag this over. There we go. I highlighted some of these price patterns in this video. Gambling is not trading. And remember, these are the most common intraday shapes of price patterns, but they also play into, trending versus flagging and consolidation. So, this is just an ABC pattern. This is an ABCDE pattern. This is just a solid straight up trend. This is really an AB, okay, setup pattern, AB, AB. And this is basically an AB ending a wave followed by an ABC. These can also tend to be a little stagnant. In other words, you can get this moving into a flagging formation like this. So when we come back over here and we look at this flagging right here with this yellow, we could easily, just very easily, move down into a breakdown mode, back into consolidation here before breaking down to some ultimate low pattern. Okay, very, very easily break down in this mode, and it could be over the next 2 or 3 or 4 days. Remember, I think by the ninth or so, we're going to be done with this move to the downside. We'll see how it plays out. Remember, the Fibonacci levels are, very cleanly at that 50% area right now. Still struggling to make a move away from this trend, so be aware that, this area is what I would consider like no man's land. It's a difficult area for price to consolidate and to get away from. Typically, this range here, this 382 to 50 level, or sorry, 382 to 618 level, is what I call the battle zone. So this is again where price is structurally attempting to battle its way out of consolidation and into a new trend. So you can see we have that same battle zone area back here. And if we were to go in a little further, we could attempt to find the battle zone area from here to here. And that would put us right in this area. So think of this as a front line of battle for price. This is where price is structurally and you can see how this zone aligned with this zone right here. So this area, this window that I'm highlighting right here is the big battle zone again, where I think that price is going to struggle to get down into. This is that gap. I'll change this, make it light color. And this is that lower gap. So, we have if we fail at this level and break down, we're going to leave this battle zone, this larger battle zone out here. We're going to move potentially down into this lower battle zone, which is why I drew consolidation around this area. Consolidation would likely be somewhere between here and here as a consolidation range. And you can see my thinking. We flag out, we break down, move into the lower range for consolidation, then break down into the lower low, which puts us down in this area 500, 505, something of this nature. And I think, what's really key to me right now is not this deep low. Okay. I mean, ultimately, I think this big, deep low right here in price Okay. This is obviously pretty much a straight up trend. We can look at it as a deep V, but I would be very cautious of A, B, C type of move. So be aware that I think that, ultimately we could be looking at this A, B, C type of move into a downtrend here, which would put us, very much like this, an A, B, C, an exaggerated A, B, C. Okay. Now we could be looking at this. We don't know yet where we get that, we had the breakdown, we get the rally up, and then we move into this breakdown mode here. But we're not there yet. We don't know what we're looking at. But we could easily be either an A, B, C pattern from the yesterday's move over here, or we could be looking at an A, B, C, D type of pattern. We'll see how it plays out. But weakness up in this area seems to be holding up very well. It's playing cleanly into my May low. We'll see how that happens. And again, I'm looking over here at metals. And what has surprised me today in metals is that, yeah, we had some pre market selling, but metals have rallied back up. Okay. And metals holding up. Granted, they're not skyrocketing, but holding up above that 3,300 for gold and 33 level for silver is pretty solid. I think this is really the early stages of unwinding past the end of the month and into real Q2 expectations. But I would be very surprised. Like I told you this morning, I've seen articles about China just literally collapsing, 40, 50, 60% in their shipments. I can't imagine what their factories are looking like. Meaning just imagine, what that type of a shutdown would look like to the US. Imagine if 50% of our production of our factories shut down. Now, granted, factories are only probably about 20% of China's GDP, but I do believe that China is feeling it more than, say, other nations right now. They are the manufacturing center of the world. They know it. They're trying to play that as their strength to negotiate their way out of it. But at the same point in time, like I said, having manufacturing shut down, you need to realize that, a lot of people work off this manufacturing sector, shippers, suppliers, retailers, manufacturing center is the core element of a lot of other industries. And when we start talking about non-performing loans carrying out, maybe it's only been about a month, come probably May 9th or 10th, it'll be about a month. But when we start talking about non-performing assets carrying into May, maybe into June, I think you're going to see a bigger problem playing out in the global market. So pay attention again. I really do think that, whether I'm right or wrong about this May low, I think you're going to see the markets themselves really struggle. So, I come in here, go to 4 hours, and this is a longer term picture, but, I think that the markets are going to struggle. I think we're going to be seeing something more along the lines of, kind of like this type of a expanding megaphone type of pattern carrying out into that October low where price moves through. Whoa, I didn't know I could do that. That was pretty wild, huh? How did I do that? I knew I could roll, but oh, right there, the corner. Hey, wow. Look at that. Learn something new with TradingView all the time. But again, I kind of think we're looking at, this rollover kind of trend into the October lows and then still breaking back out of it. That's my opinion. But again, I try to move with price. I don't try to get too married to a position. My portfolio's holding up okay. Some people asked if I booked into profits this morning. Nope. We didn't get down into my 530, 520 area. That's kind of where I'm looking at right now, trying to get down into that 520, 530 area. Did I see it? Yeah, there's another arrow here. Okay, we'll get rid of that. And I didn't realize I could size them. That was pretty cool. Get rid of that. So again, pay attention. I think we're going to be looking at this downward move, and I think this is going to play out fairly cleanly over the next 4 or 5 days. Meaning, looking at this 510, 520 area where I drew this area here, this is really where I'm looking for profits. I think we need to get down into that lower range. Anything below basically 42, 43 will start generating some decent profits for me. But I'm looking for this 510, 520 area on the SPY. I think that's going to be the zone where we're going to run into some support, maybe getting a little lower, but really this 520, 510, I call it 508 to 515, somewhere right around there. I think will be the bottom. Okay, guys. Well, very interesting day. Let's see how this plays out. And remember, you can see here we've got a very clean kind of an A, B, C, D, E move up. We've reached our peak. You can see the excess phase peak patterns are setting up. If this breakdown happens, we would be moving into the flagging, inverted flagging pattern, meaning that we would have set a new low, we would have pulled back, and we would be moving into flagging out in this area, which would eventually either invalidate and move downward or potentially roll back up to break the flag high right up here and set up a new upward trend. So we'll see how that plays out, see if it actually happens. But before we get to that, guys, we've got to move into this flagging formation. So we'll see how it plays out. Okay, guys, that's it for now. Talk to you later.